The group stages are done. Countries have gone home. We are getting closer and closer to finding out who is going to win the World Cup. And we're going to break it all down here on Beyond the Whistle. Hello, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Whistle with me, Matty K. And as always, Grace Wild.
Hello, how are you?
Is that because I've been to a musical this weekend? Are you getting into the feels of it?
I'd love to say that that's why. It just came to me in the moment and it felt right.
Okay, yeah, I mean it wasn't, but fine. That was beautiful, Grace. We don't judge on this podcast. Yeah, World Cup fever is well and truly underway. Countries have gone home. It's mad how quick this World Cup is going, considering the expansion of the World Cups. But anyway, before we get in there, we are Beyond the Whistle. If you haven't seen us before, welcome. Make sure you like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do on whatever social media platform you are watching on. Grace, it's getting fucking exciting, isn't it?
It's the part of a World Cup now that I love. It's that I know it's not like the group stages are great because there's literally back to back games, back to back, back to back. But I've not felt that this year because of being asleep for quite a lot of it, given the time zone. So now with these kickoffs, generally not too bad. Quite a lot of them, particularly the really good ones so far. Like there's one at 6 o'clock tonight, which is Japan, Brazil. Cannot wait for that one. This is where we see the slip ups. This is where we see the banana peels. And I absolutely love it because knockout football is just a different animal. And I absolutely love it.
Japan have been a bit of a dark horse for me. I'd said this, didn't I, from when England played Japan in the friends. I said they're not a team to be taken lightly. Japan are a solid team.
Absolutely. And they've actually got quite a lot of injuries. That's the thing, is they've actually got a few injuries. But would you know? I haven't really noticed that much. They just have a consistency. They have a sort of game plan. They stick to it and they all perform to a certain level. And do you know what? Brazil need to be on their A game tonight.
Oh, 100%. Obviously, group stages are over now. Was there any surprises that took you, well, by surprise?
I was pleased to see Cape Verde get through. I think they came through second place. That was lovely. Really pleased to see that. Obviously, there was the Portugal group. They came second in the end, which is a real shame because we now won't see Messi versus Ronaldo until a potential final, which for me is, you do want to see that in a World Cup, don't you? But that's all because Portugal came second. They drew 0-0, I believe, to Colombia in the final game. Other than that, I can't think of any other shocks really. I think everybody went through. I mean, there was maybe disappointment with Scotland. The Czech Republic were very disappointing. Um, I would say Belgium. Belgium have underperformed, but then they pulled out. I think it was a 5-1 win in their final game and they topped the group. So, yeah, I think it's been fairly predictable so far.
It's the same every international tournament, though, isn't it? You always have them countries that underperform, the ones that overperform, and the ones that just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I think, in all honesty, I don't know about you, but I think it's a universal thing. You tend to find that one team that you just really fall in love with over a World Cup. And mine is Norway. I absolutely love them. I love everything. Like even the Viking photo before the tournament started, I thought that's cringe. No, it's not. It's really flipping cool. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Then you got the rowing thing, that was awesome. They're just playing good football. Like I just love everything about Norway at the moment. And they are my true dark horse of this competition because do you know what? I fancy them any day.
Well, my next question was going to be, now that the group stages are over, who do you think is now going to go all the way if you had to put your money on it?
Um, I think it has to be France. I think it has to be. What about you?
Yeah, I've backed that. I mean, I've actually put money on it, but I've please gamble responsibly. But I've actually put money on France from the start to win it. I just can't see them not winning it. They're just unbelievable to watch.
I mean, the attacking threat is just insane. When you are okay, we're talking about Mbappe, we're talking about Dembele, Doué, Elise. Then you know you're good when Ryan Cherky is on the bench. That's when you know you're good. Like it is an insane team, particularly going forward. Mbappe seems absolutely on it. Dembele got a hat trick against Norway. I mean, it's just they look phenomenal and they look like the team to beat currently.
Yeah, 100%. And so I think the 8 teams that qualified in third place was Congo, Sweden, Ghana, Ecuador, Bosnia, Algeria, Paraguay, and Senegal. Kind of all teams that you expect to sort of get through, really. I think Bosnia maybe and Algeria maybe ones that were have raised an eyebrow. But I said to you about Bosnia before,
Yeah.
how good they are defensively. But I think all of them are pretty comfortably going through, right? That we expected them to go through.
Yeah, and I was pleased to see Ghana come through actually because I thought they played really, really well against England. And I think it's one of those where just because your game plan isn't the most attacking, most beautiful football doesn't mean it's wrong. And I think they proved that, particularly against England, getting themselves what has now ended up being a vital point, um, was just massive for them. And they did it perfectly. They defended perfectly. And I love the fact there's so many African teams gone through. Love it. It really bugs me that we do tend to see domination in the World Cup from Europe, South America. It really makes me happy that the African teams that have been so good and we've seen them perform really well at AFCON are coming to the world stage and also doing a pretty good job. So that's really nice to see.
Yeah, and the 4 teams to miss out in third place was Iran, South Africa, Scotland, and Uruguay. I think Uruguay, you could argue, was maybe a surprise. South Africa, maybe. South Korea, sorry, maybe. But other than that, I think it was,
Yeah, I do want to talk about Uruguay actually. Did you see how that last group game ended?
yeah, he was kicking off as well, wasn't he, in the interview?
Yeah, well, there was a red card, wasn't there? And there was just, it's not felt right at Uruguay this World Cup. I don't know how you felt, but things just have felt very off. And it sort of imploded, didn't it? It turned nasty. And they've sort of left a bit of a stain on their name at this World Cup, which is a real shame. I mean, look, I know Bielsa is a very, very passionate man. We know that from Leeds, but I don't love that. I get it because you're frustrated and you don't want to talk about it when you've just been knocked out, but or you've just not qualified in, going into the knockouts. But that's not the media's fault. That's not the interviewer's fault, and I don't love to see it. I think sometimes you have to just put the emotion to one side, and that's part of your job is staying quite level headed as a manager. The players to a certain extent are the young ones who make those silly mistakes. It's that manager that needs to keep somewhat of a. We've seen that quite a bit in this World Cup. I mean, I'm just thinking of Jesse Marsh last night, really kicking off, and not quite as bad as Bielsa, but having to have his own players hold him back. I just think there should be a level headedness of expectation of a manager that I don't know, it seems to slip a bit.
Yeah, no, mate, it's a fair comment. It's again part of your job is to do these interviews, in it? So you to deal with it. You don't want to talk about it, but you've got to. It's part of your job. Obviously, at time of recording, there's also been another team also eliminated in the dying minutes of the game as well. Do you want to talk about that one?
Are we talking about Canada versus South Africa?
Yeah, just touch on it. You don't have to go into detail.
I thought I just fully missed a fixture then, and something had just happened, and I'm thinking, oh God, I've not seen it. Um, this was arguably one of the most boring games of the World Cup so far. Um, it, Genie wept. I mean, it was quite cagey. There wasn't a mass amount of quality being shown. There was a penalty shout. Did you see the penalty shout at half time?
I completely missed last night's game. To be fair,
So there was a penalty shout, and I've forgotten which players were involved, but it was for Canada. And to be fair, in normal time, it did look like a penalty. It looked like obvious contact. But actually, when you slow it down, the when it's obvious that an attacker is looking for contact, when they're looking for something to go down over, and it just turns out the attacker kicks the defender's leg, which isn't that's not a penalty. So I think the right decision was made. I think there will be some people that say the right decision wasn't made, but I think it was. And then yeah, Canada scored in the 92nd minute, I believe. I think Alfonso Davies came on, and that was big for Canada. I think it gave them, not only does he have quality, he also gives them an element of confidence, I imagine. Just him being on the pitch makes them feel like they should go on and win it. And they got it done 1-0. and they're through to the round of 16.
Yeah, we're going to jump into England next, but just before we get there, this podcast is brought to you by GME Media, your local GME Media, your local media company, covering all things between the East and the Midlands. There we go. Um, what else was I going to mention as well? Oh, a bit of Premier League chat. Have you seen the news about a certain Man City manager?
I haven't. I've seen something's kicked off, but honestly, I have not had a chance to look at it. Please break the news to me.
Okay, so I'll read it off this just because I don't want to get it wrong. But new Man City boss Maresca is to pay the compensation to Chelsea. Enzo Maresca signs a 3-year Manchester City deal after agreeing to pay compensation to former club Chelsea. So I think we already knew he was going to be the manager. It's now confirmed. It's all the deal's been signed. We're good to go.
Well, I mean, I thought I saw a nasty statement from Chelsea or something. That's what I thought. One football had shown me that I haven't clicked on that notification, but I'll look at that at some point. Um, I mean, it's good news for City. They can now sort of try and move on from that Pep era, which is going to be very difficult. And if they're not careful, they're going to do sort of what we've spoken about with Man United, which is that Alex Ferguson hanging over you constantly. Is he good enough to replace Sir Alex? Well, probably not. Um, because we're talking about special, very very special people. And I hope City don't go down that route with Pep, where there's an expectation that you've got to do what Pep did. Because for me, Pep is very, very special. But I think I've always been a fan of Maresca. I think when he got sacked from Chelsea, and it was quite a shock from my perspective. I didn't really get it, to be fair.
Apparently, I think this is where the complaints are coming from, is that he resigned, he wasn't sacked, which is why they wanted compensation. Which, I mean, look, I don't know the ins and outs of it. I'd have to do some actual research before, because I don't want to give out false information, but that's what I've heard anyway. Which both at
No,
the time, New Year's Day, which both me and you said at the time, this is mental. Like, why have they done that? It came out of nowhere. But two other little bits of news before we jump into England. I think it's pretty much confirmed that Anderson will be signing for Man City as well. Talk to me about this price tag, Grace.
well, I saw a price tag of 116 million, but I think it can go between 116 and 130 million. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm hearing like 130, which is unbelievable money.
Mad money, isn't it? You try and justify an amount like that. Only football fans can attempt to do that. Do you know what I mean? It's. I think it's probably, well, given the inflated market, I imagine it's probably around right. As long as he's going to, go there and sort of be as important as Declan Rice is to Arsenal and that type of thing, then you sort of understand it. But if it turns into another sort of Calvin Phillips transfer, then I'm not saying that it will do. I really hope Anderson is a massive part of that setup for City because I think he's absolutely quality and he's showing that in this World Cup so far. But it's just stupid money. It's stupid money. Yeah, but when did Harry Maguire move to Man United? That's got to have been 5, 6 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. What was that? 80 million was that?
Million. So you think, and that again, that felt massive at that time, but
I think the transfer
it's
that killed it all was the Neymar for 200 million one. I think that's what set off unbelievable. Or was it Coutinho as well? Didn't he go for daft money as well? But yeah, I think, and to be honest, I thought it was getting to a point where it was starting to creep back down now, and we're starting to see more realistic numbers. But again, that 130 million is just wild.
we're not going to though. And we're not gonna see that because of the people that own football clubs and the levels of money that they have and the amount of money that football brings in. That's just the reality, isn't it? The one thing I would say though is good for Forest. I'm pleased for Forest. Yes, they're losing a player that is really important to them, but do you know what? That's not too bad if you're sticking 130 million quid in your pocket.
Yeah, 100%. Last two little bits. The Hull City goalkeeper Ivan Pandor is off to Rangers for 6 million, with Jack Butland going the opposite way for 3 million. And Scotland are looking to replace. Obviously, we haven't spoke about this yet. Their manager after he's resigned, or was he sacked? I don't quite know. But Steve Clarke's successor, the two front runners are David Moyes and Ange Postecoglou. What's your thoughts on them two bits of news, Grace?
Ooh. So I knew Steve Clarke had gone, but I think it was about right that Scotland had a bit of a change. I don't know about you, but I felt like after this World Cup was a good opportunity to switch it up a bit. I think they've got some good talent and they need to move with the times a bit, if you know what I mean. I'm not saying Steve Clarke is particularly old or anything, but I do think he maybe carries those more traditional values. Whereas someone like an Ange Postecoglou is a little bit more current, he is a little bit more up to date with football. I think that would be a fascinating pair up. I think David Moyes would probably be a sideways step in many ways because, and I don't mean this in terms of quality. I probably think David Moyes is a better manager than Steve Clarke, but I mean in terms of the traditional nature of management. I think someone like Ange Postecoglou, I would love to see that because I think he brings something completely different. And my God, Scotland would be so likable, as a nation with Ange at the helm. I'd love to see that. I don't know about you.
I mean, this could be controversial, and people are going to say you're an absolute idiot. If in an ideal world, if Tuchel was to leave England, I'd want Pep. If England took on Ange, I wouldn't be disappointed.
Yeah, but
I,
you have an absolute love for Ange.
I would run through a brick wall for that man, and I don't even know him.
Whereas, like, I would wear a Scotland shirt for Ali McCoy. It's about who you love in the game. Do you know what I mean?
And what's your thoughts on Jack Butland coming back to the Premier League?
Well, I think he was doing all right over at Rangers, wasn't he? It'll be interesting. He's someone that sort of fell off the radar, isn't he? I mean, he was sort of in the conversation of the England setup for quite a while. I don't know how old he is now. He's got to be in the latter stages of his career. Um, but good for him. Newly promoted side, he's very experienced. He's a good head to have in a Premier League side, especially a newly promoted one. Um, yeah, I'm pleased for him.
He's actually only 33, which for a goalkeeper, it's not bad.
Mm, Still got 4 years in you, maybe.
Right, should we jump into England? We've left it long enough.
Yeah, go on then.
Go on then, England to Panama nil. Right, the thing is that, or what I want to say about this is, if I'm a France or an Argentina or a Germany or a Spain, I'm not worried about coming up against England. And that's literally my summary of the game.
Yeah, I probably don't disagree. I probably don't disagree. I think there was a very early opportunity, wasn't there, for Panama, where they tested Pickford, and you just think that would have been 1-0 already if you're up against France or Argentina or Brazil or Spain even. It's just feels we just feel a bit leaky at the back, don't we?
Yeah, this is kind of what we again. I don't want to. I think we're going to do this because it's the first tournament since Southgate. But I don't want to keep comparing the two, but it's mad because we're seeing a bit more attacking freedom from England in a sense, and we're sort of letting go of the defensive side of it, which is a compromise that you have to sort of weigh up. But then the attacking hasn't not been quite there since like what we saw against Croatia, which is worrying.
Yeah, and I think your motto of sort of always outscore the opponent, that works in many ways with that system as long as that attack is functioning how it should be. The truth is, we should be beating Panama. We should be putting 4 or 5 past Panama. Simple as that. I think I did predict 2-0 actually, if I remember rightly. Did I predict that?
I'll have to go back and check. You might be right.
I
I
think I
think
did.
definitely
Um,
no. I think I went for a solid 4-0 win.
I think you did. Um, yeah, it's you see elements of it, and this is what I've been saying in my analysis of all of these England games, because analysis is covering the World Cup, just so you know if you're not part of it already. They are moving to the Championship next season, so even Championship fans, get yourselves on it. Anyway, get rid of that ad. The thing
I'm
I've been
actually
saying on,
on there, but I switched over to the international account as well for England. And I've just not done anything with it.
I get it. The timing for the games has been, difficult. Um, no, I keep saying on that we get hints, we get these little hints of pure quality, the type of quality you have been seeing from the likes of France so far. And it generally involves Bellingham or Kane. And, like I said last week, I am genuinely one of Bellingham's harshest critics. I really am. I really don't. I want to see the best of him. I'm not going to put him in a world class bracket when I don't think he is. I genuinely think he's been phenomenal this tournament. I think he has been so important to everything that England have done right so far in this tournament, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him play knockout football. That's where I see those little hints of class, and I'm not seeing it really anywhere else. I do think I would like to add. I do think Tuchel's been unfortunate with injuries in this tournament, more than others have been in previous tournaments.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a fair point. I think I've got to give Tuchel credit because I think he's managed Bellingham quite well. I think we spoke about that and we spoke about it when he dropped in for the friendlies as well. But Yeah, I think I give Bellingham a little bit last week, so I've got to give him credit this week because he did play well in that game and he was the man of the match for me, without a doubt. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not quite seeing what I want to see from England.
No, and I feel how I expected to feel in this tournament, which is all right, let's just see how far we go. I've not got that patriotic, oh my God, we're going to do it. How I felt previously in Euros and World Cups. I just don't have it because I've not seen the evidence of it. I've not seen the excitement of it. And yes, it potentially is to do with that, not seeing as many games because of the time zones, maybe not being as connected to the World Cup. I don't know. But I'm just not getting that sense. When I watch France play, I get excited. I'm watching really good quality football. I'm watching football that is the best of the best. You are seeing some of the best players in the world right now link up exquisitely. I don't see that with England necessarily. I think Saka and I was pleased to see Saka and Rashford start, but they both look rusty. There's no doubt that's not Tuchel's fault. I do think they're both, Saka particularly carrying something. Obviously the Rice situation, that's not great. You need him as consistently as you need Kane and you need Pickford, and they're the type of players that are the first name on the team sheet. And I think it's unfortunate for Tuchel that he's not had that so far. Hopefully it's nothing major. Reece James is now out. You've got people now questioning Tuchel's decisions in terms of the squad, and I think we spoke about this last time. There's even more now, especially with Reece James being out. And the little, I don't know if you saw it, the little comment of we didn't see it coming with Reece James. I saw it coming. Everybody in this planet saw it coming. He has had hamstring injuries his whole career. I am just pleased to see that boy play when he plays because I have no level of expectation for his consistency. I knew it would be a matter of time before he felt a twinge in his hamstring. How is it a shock? Like genuinely, you prepare for this. You genuinely prepare for this when you build a squad. You think Reece James, yeah, he's excellent when he's fit, but is he going to be fit?
Well, no, like you just said, we all knew this. The man's made of glass. We all knew he wasn't going to be fit for the entire tournament. So to say that he didn't see this coming is a mental sort of statement to make. Should we talk about the lineup? I'll pull it up now, actually.
Mhm.
When was the game? Saturday, Friday, Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, so obviously we had the news that Reece James was going to be injured. So we went, the starting lineup was Pickford, O'Reilly, Gahey, Konze, and oh,
Kwanzaa.
Konze. That's it. I couldn't get my word out then. Elliot Anderson, and then Rashford, Bellingham, Rodgers, Saka, and Harry Kane up top. Was you surprised that Spence wasn't playing at right back?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. This is exactly what I was thinking because one of the football chats that I'm in early was popping off saying, "Oh, what do we do now? Like we've got no cover there." I was like, "Yeah, we have. Like Spence is a natural right back," and everyone's like, "Nah, nah, nah, he's a left back." I'm like, "No, he's not. It's just Tottenham just don't have any players fit." So they said they had to squeeze him in at left back, and he's done a job there. To be fair to him, but he's a natural right back. I thought the easiest thing to do would be just obviously Reece James is out, slot Spence straight in. I just didn't see this one coming.
No, but I wanted to see what he was doing with that because there was part of me thinking, okay, is he going to play a back three then? Like, what are we doing here? That seems like an odd move. And then Spence came on because Kwanzaa got injured, so I think the decision's going to be taken out of his hands because he's got an ankle injury now. Kwanzaa, I thought he slotted in great. I thought he was brilliant.
What do you mean? It was brilliant in his natural position, where he's
Exactly.
on the pitch. Why isn't he starting there in the first place? Honestly, I was baffled by this when I saw that it wasn't starting. To be honest, the lineup with the injury of James and Rice, it's pretty much what I expected, especially with the news of Rashford and Saka being fit, but with the exception of Spence not being there.
There was a part of me that was worried that Henderson would start, I have to say, because I wasn't sure he was going to pull Bellingham back, if you know what I mean. Because
Yep.
Anderson essentially played a much deeper midfield role, didn't he? And I do think, look, if we're being picky, I don't think I saw part of what I love about Anderson's game, but that's because of the position he was playing in. Him and Rice can play some sort of a pivot at points. They both are very, aware of those positions and have played them in the past, be deeper, further forward, and they can get the best out of each other. I really like that partnership. That's just not how a Bellingham Anderson midfield is going to be, is it? I didn't. I, I'm a big fan of Morgan Rogers. I'm a big fan of him. I didn't feel like I saw the best of him at all because I think Bellingham shined.
Yeah, no, yeah, fair enough. I mean, I was never worried about Henderson starting. I don't think Tuchel would have the balls to do that. I think that there would be a lot of backlash coming from the media. Not like he has to listen to him, because I don't think he would listen to him either. But I'm just not certain he would ever start Henderson in a game again. Come on for a cameo. I mean, to be fair, the abuse he was getting for bringing him on at all, or even taking him. So I'm not. I wasn't worried about him starting it.
But that's mad, isn't it? We weren't worried about someone starting who's been taken in this squad.
Yeah,
Do you know what
yeah.
I mean? That's mad. That's mad that there's someone in that squad that you have no doubt he was never going to have the balls to start. Uh, that's like taking me. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is the point of having him there then? Surely every single person in that squad should be at somewhat of a level to start. Not for Panama or not for Paraguay, but for England, they should be.
It's hard because I understand why he does take people like Henderson, and especially like I mean, I listen to a lot of football podcasts, and everyone talks about how what Henderson's like in the dressing room and what it's like to have a player like that there for the experience and the morale. And I also get the other argument of I don't care, you shouldn't just don't take him; it's a waste of a place. But then do you remember that year? Oh, who was the player? We took a player with us, and he just didn't play a single minute in the last tournament. Um, I can't remember who it was. I remember seeing him on the touchline as well, thinking, "Why are you warming up? Because you're not coming on." I can't. I have to. I'll text you who I mean, but the people will know who I mean. But yeah, Southgate took somebody, and we all knew he wasn't going to get played. Whereas at least Henderson, we know there's a reason for him being there, and that's the leadership sort of side of it. But you are right; it's mental to say why he's even there when we're in no doubt he's going to be starting again. But do you want to break down each sort of goal for us?
Yeah, I do need a reminder of what they were, to be fair. Hang on one second. Just a bit of lift music. Do, 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 do,
Well, I'll tell you what,
do.
while you're going through that, should we also mention, obviously, Harry Kane did score the second goal. That does put him above Gary Lineker now, doesn't it? Is it the most goals scored in a tournament or something for
Yeah.
England?
In a World Cup, I think.
World Cup.
Yeah, I think
It,
I think he's surpassed Lineker with goals in a World Cup. So I think Lineker went to a certain amount of goals and reached, I think, what was it, 10 or 11 goals? And Kane's now hit 12, I want to say,
okay.
in his World Cup experience.
I think it was bound to happen at some point anyway. Harry Kane's one of the best players I've ever seen play.
Absolutely. So it was 0-0 at half time. We were all thinking, why have we stayed up for this? This is boring as hell. And I thought Panama played quite well from my perspective of actually I think their biggest downfall wasn't our defensive setup. I think it was their ability to take a touch. It was their ability to get past the player. It was more what they lacked rather than what we provided, in my opinion. Jude Bellingham scored in the 62nd minute. I think this was it a corner? And it was a I mean it was a lovely finish. It was really nice. It was a corner, but it was a God, you never describe a goal with as a foot. You know what I mean? You think you assume that a corner is going to be a header, don't you? And I'm
Yeah.
thinking I need to specifically say that this wasn't a header.
Well, it
It
was a
was scored with it was
was
a
it?
what?
Was it not a volley?
Yeah, I mean it was a half volley. I believe it was a half volley. I think. I might be wrong. I don't remember. But it was a really nice goal. God, this is horrendous analysis from me. It was a really nice goal. And then I don't even remember Harry Kane's goal. What was Harry Kane's goal?
Do you want me to tell you? Because I'm watching the
Yeah,
highlight.
tell me. This is terrible. When we do Premier League ones, I've gone through all the games. I'm doing all my notes, all that jazz. Look, it's not happening for these games.
Ball's out wide to Bellingham near the corner flag, just on the edge of the box. He whips it in. It's a simple Harry Kane header from about 6 yards out.
I still don't remember it, but sounds fabulous.
Memorable, memorable then. Just classic Harry Kane. Just he's in the box, he gets in front of his man and just heads it home for about 6 yards out. I mean, I was going to say there's no missing from there for Harry Kane, but we saw one in the 0-0 that he missed from that far out. But yeah, again, just proof that Bellingham just sort of run the show for England, especially in that second half. They did look better in the second half, England, but not to the point where I was more relieved rather than excited, if that makes sense.
It wasn't quite as dramatic as the Croatia second half.
No, no, you're right. Um, yeah.
What did you think of Rashford?
Okay. So yeah, I kind of wanted to mention this because I thought Rashford in the cameos that he made in the first two games were really good. This one, I saw glimpses of it. I thought at times, I don't know if this is the right word to use when it comes to professional football, a little bit greedy. And I thought
Yeah.
there was opportunities where like he was running along the side. You could see what he was trying to do. He was trying to get it onto his right foot and then sort of cut back to the keeper's bottom right. But I just thought you could have made the pass there, or you know what I mean. He was just a little bit greedy when he from Rashford.
Yeah, I still think he deserved to start in comparison to Gordon, personally. I think he did more. But I don't think you're wrong. I thought he was heavily involved, and for me, I have to give him credit for that because we've seen two Gordon performances where he hasn't been heavily involved. So it's quite easily to not be involved. He was heavily involved. Was his decision making the best? Probably not. I did think he looked a bit rusty, maybe was trying to tap it past the player and link back up with it and it wasn't working out. And I do see your point of potentially a bit of greediness. And that greediness works out, that goal he scored against Croatia, that greediness works out when the ball goes in the back of the net because you think that's classic Rashford. Great, yeah, lovely. We know he can play false nine, all that jazz. When it doesn't work out, that you naturally ask questions, don't you? You sort of say, okay, could he squared it? Could he have, passed
Well,
maybe Rogers who was in the centre, or
that's the thing with the goal that he did get. He was in the right position to shoot, and I don't think he had much other option on. Where there was look during that Panama game, there was options where the shot was right and the shot was on. But I also think there was a lot of times where I thought you didn't need to be shooting there, mate. But look, he's a professional footballer, not me, so he's there playing for England. I'm sat here recording the podcast talking about him. So who's winning in life? But yeah, the what's your overall summary of the game? Because I sort of said mine at the start. What have you got like an overall summary of England so far?
my overall summary. Um, I'm pleased we're going into the knockouts with some level of confidence. For me, it was really important. I know we'd qualified, but for me, it was really important that we went into that game with the intention of winning it because it's so easy to go into a third game. And I think naturally that decision was made easier because we drew the second game rather than winning the second game. But it's so easy to go into a third game and make loads of changes and then not go into that knockout stage with momentum. I am pleased that the likes of Bellingham and Kane got themselves a goal each in this game so that they carry on that momentum, they carry on that consistency. But now feels like the nitty gritty. And I don't know about you, but we've got DR Congo in the next round, which I'm sure you were going to mention. That feels like a potential step up. We have to deal with them. They've been good in the group stages. And you know, I think that's going to be a challenge, and we have to respect the challenge that it's going to be. And I'm intrigued to see how knockout football is going to look in this England side.
Yeah, but obviously, look, we won the game. We finished top of the group. We're on the right side of the draw, or the better side of the draw at least. Anyway, so yeah, Congo. I was going to ask you obviously your predictions for this. I don't think they're going to like they will go low block, I think, but not as full low block as what Ghana did. I think they will try and attack us a little bit more than what Ghana did. But yeah, you are right. There's a sort of potential for a slip up there because they do look quite good as a team as well.
Yeah, and I imagine it will be maybe a little bit more aggressive than Panama. That's the way I look at it. Is I think they'll have the confidence to come at us to some degree, but they will also be cautious. Whereas Ghana was very much a low block and come and break us down if you think you're hard enough type thing. But I don't see it being that far. But I also think that they will show a level of aggression whilst being cautious.
Yeah, 100%. Do you want to give us a prediction for that game?
I am going to go for 3-1 England.
Oh, okay, that's brave. Okay. Um, I can only see a 1-0 England win.
Interesting. See, I think we might concede.
But yeah, I mean, they've got the attacking threat Congo, but I think, oh, I don't, yeah, don't do that to me because now you've got it in my head. Uh, no, I'm going to stick it. 1-0 England win, 74th minute, Jude Bellingham.
Ooh,
I've gone
ooh,
specific. Well,
yeah. All right, I'll go specific. I think it's gonna be a Harry Kane 43rd minute goal, and then a Bellingham 54th, and then a Kane 71st.
I'm going to write them down after the podcast and see how close we get. You watch it, like something like a 6-0 or something like that, and we'll be absolutely nowhere near. Or it'll go to extra, don't go to extra time and penalties. I don't think I can cope.
Don't.
Have you got anything else that you want to add for this game?
No, I have not. Bring on the group stages. Not the group stages. You can tell I've been at work all day and speaking to children. That sounds wrong. I work in a school, just to make that very, very clear. Let's not make that weird. Anyway, I'm digging myself a hole. Bring on the knockouts. That's what I meant.
And at the risk of sounding like Jeremy Clarkson on that bombshell, I think it's time to call it a night. Grace, thank you so much for that. Yeah. Do you know what? I don't even think we should sign off. I think we should just stop the recording. Oh, nice nails, by the way. You've gone full England.
Yeah, I've gone full England. You
Nice.
know, this is just to make it very clear. This is for England, the football team, not reform. Just making that very clear.
I don't think you needed to mention that, but okay, fine. Have you had to clarify that quite a lot?
Yeah,
Probably more than you'd like to admit. Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I don't really know what a reform photo look. Do you know what? Let's just record it. Let's just end it. We're done. I don't know what a reform voter looks like, but I don't think you sort of tick the boxes, Grace. I think you're all good.
I think so. I don't think so. We're okay.
Right, we're going to end this before it gets too political. If you're again, make sure you like, subscribe, get your comments in the comment section down below. Hit follow, do whatever you need to do on whatever social media platform. Grace, should we go?
Yeah, let's go.
No worries. See you later, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.